Hello and welcome to Healthy Happy Families with a Natural Parent. I'm Annaliese Jones, naturopath and medical herbalist, and today we're answering a question about gassiness in newborns. And if you're a parent and haven't experienced this, congratulations, because it's really common. But for some people it can be more than just mild or moderate. It can end up being a really severe problem and really actually distressing for not only the child but for the parents, the whole family, because if there's a lot of discomfort in the child, obviously there can be a lot of screaming, a lot of sort of disruption to sleep. It's just so awful to see our little ones in pain and feel completely helpless. So today we're just talking about a few things that you can try, that you can do at home, that are easy to do, and hopefully they'll be helpful for you. If you're really worried about little one, then I definitely recommend that you get them to see, first of all, obviously talk to your midwife. You may even want to talk to your GP, take them to a naturopath or herbalist that specializes in pediatrics. Just seek the help that you need, because you don't have to suffer, basically. So really, gassiness in children is generally because they're not digesting the breast milk or the formula that they're taking in 100%. So that food that they're taking in is not being broken down by their still immature digestive system, and little components of that food are staying, instead of being broken right down and digested, they're staying in the digestive tract and then fermenting over time. And that fermentation obviously releases gases, and that gas causes distension and pressure and of course pain. So that's why they are in so much discomfort. You might see them pull their legs up, they might be arching their back, there might be a lot of crying. Those are the things that you might be seeing. So that issue can be made worse. Obviously they're born with immature digestive tracts, but it can also be made worse by their microbiome in their gut not being quite how we want it. And that can happen sometimes if there has been a complication at birth and mum or bubs has been put on antibiotics. It can sometimes be because there's been a C-section delivery and they haven't come through the vaginal canal to pick up their own gut bugs, which then starts their first population of gut bugs, their microbiome. And so therefore their first population has actually come perhaps from a hospital environment. It may be that there's even been a vaginal birth, but it was just very quick, and so baby hasn't been in the vaginal canal long enough to pick up those bugs. So a probiotic is the really first place to start. Mum can be taking the probiotic. Depending on the severity, I will often prescribe the probiotic directly to the child, and there's some great research probiotics that newborns right from birth can actually start taking as well. And you obviously want to get advice, take bubs to the appropriate person, get advice on which you would give them and what dose as well. So that's a start. I would definitely recommend that. And then I do get questions. You might be thinking, well, I tried that, I couldn't get it into them. What I'd recommend is that in this case, if you have got a probiotic, you're having trouble, that you use boiled water or expressed breast milk or formula, and you make a tiny little ball, or bolus we call it, and you either pop it on the nipple, or you can actually just pop it in their mouth if you're perhaps using formula or giving it to them between feeds. You can mix it up with the water even and do that boiled cooled water, and just pop it in their mouth. They will often sort of spit some of it out. They may not take all of it in, but that's definitely the best way to get it in, I've found. The second thing that you can think about obviously is mum's diet if you're breastfeeding. So do think about the things that make you gassy. You want to be avoiding those. Definitely the brassicas, so broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, kale, all of those. Also the legumes can be problematic sometimes, and then also the onion family sometimes too. So things like leeks, garlic and onions. Spring onions usually aren't too bad. So think about your diet, and sometimes it helps to actually keep a bit of a food and colic diary or gassiness diary in your child. So you can do it retrospectively, so you don't need to necessarily write down every single thing you're eating. But then if you're noticing that Bubs is having a problem, I'd write down the last 3 meals or the last sort of 24 hours of food that you've had that may have triggered that, and then you can start to see a pattern going forward. So that's always helpful. The other thing that I'd really recommend doing is obviously the basics, which is to burp baby extremely well. So if you're having problems with this, then really, really make sure you're burping baby well. And I know that sounds like almost patronizing, but I just wanted to say it in case it's something that that you've sort of forgotten about. The other thing is that sometimes it's good to get some support and just someone to look at your technique with feeding, just in case there's an issue there. So I would just explore all avenues. So if that means, meeting up with a breastfeeding consultant, or, catching up with your local La Leche League, whatever it means, I would definitely work on that just in case. So just check that out. It may not be problematic, but it's something that you just want to tick the box on in these situations. The other thing is for mum to be drinking as much chamomile tea as you can possibly get into yourself. I'd really, really recommend that. So get yourself a nice organic chamomile tea. They're available just about everywhere. And make it lovely and strong. You can drink it cold if you like, but chamomile tea, if you drink enough of it, you will be definitely getting the benefits of that transmitted through the breast milk to baby as well. And the other one is actually fennel tea. So I would definitely recommend getting yourself some fennel seeds and making a lovely strong fennel tea out of that by just pouring hot water on it and letting it steep for 5 to 10 minutes and then drinking that as well. It has great dyspeptic qualities, we call it, so very, very helpful, and we really do see that babies seem to have a positive response to mums drinking a lot of these teas as well. So I'd really recommend that too. If you've still got questions, and there are certainly things that we can do, as in giving medicines and herbs directly to baby, so if you've done all of that and you're still having issues, there are still things that we can do, and that just requires someone who's got experience in herbal pediatrics. You want to make sure that you're seeing somebody that really knows what they're doing if you're going to be giving them anything different before they're obviously having any solids. So those are the basics. If you've got any questions, please send a DM. You're not alone. This is so common, and as I said at the start, if you're really, really worried, obviously talk to your midwife, talk to your GP about it. We want to make sure there's nothing else going on as well when we're having that type of crying that you can't seem to help baby with. All right, go well, everybody. Bye-bye.